The breaking news of the night is that the United States Court of International Trade has struck down Donald Trump's tariffs as illegal and unconstitutional. Joining us now is Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. He's a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee and the Senate Finance Committee, which has jurisdiction over tariffs, as the trade court pointed out today. Senator Whitehouse, I want to continue the theme of corruption that we just were discussing with Ken Vogel of the New York Times, but let's begin with tariffs and the opportunity that the Trump tariffs presented to Washington for a level of corruption we've never seen before, with one person in charge of whether your company has to pay a tariff or not. What did that mean to the climate of corruption in Washington?
Well, this was actually what we saw in Trump 1, which was that Trump would announce tariffs, and then the shop would open out the back for people to come into the White House and plead for waivers from the tariffs, company by company. And obviously, if this is a White House that is, rounding up crypto money in the billions for the Trump family, they'd have no hesitation in shaking down corporations that wanted a waiver. So very direct avenue for corruption, and you'd never even really know what took place until long after, when the waiver ultimately came to light.
What does it mean for Rhode Island businesses tomorrow to wake up into a country where the president cannot change tariffs every day and change their economic environment every day with that kind of illegal and unconstitutional power?
Well, I would say huge sigh of relief for small businesses, which had no way to cope or wheel or deal their way out of it, just had to live in the tumult and turbulence of Trump's tariff mania. But I'd also say that, we're going to be in a period when kids are going to be going back to school shopping. I know we got a whole summer ahead of us, but by the time families were going to go do their back to school shopping this fall, the tariffs were going to have hit, and they were going to dramatically raise prices. And so in some respects, this Court of International Trade has actually spared Trump from himself, because he didn't really figure out that the fallout in voters' families would be very real and very bad from his tariff stuff. So he should go over and give them a nice gilded plaque saying, "Thank you for saving my bacon."
Senator, you also at the Finance Committee have jurisdiction over Social Security. And to see Donald Trump pardoning a criminal who was convicted of stealing Social Security money out of the paychecks of his employees, using at least $2 million of that to buy a yacht and using millions more of it for other purposes, doesn't pay it all back, and Donald Trump gives him a complete pardon. What does that say to those American businessmen out there and women who might be tempted in running their business to steal their employees' Social Security money?
Well, it says that there's a way out, even if you're caught. It also says that there's a 4-to-1 payoff if you can get your mom to go to a Donald Trump fundraiser with $1 million in her purse and hand it over, because you make $4 million out of the deal. So, it's kind of a big win for everybody, except, of course, the Social Security system, which is what was cheated in the first place. Between this and the muskrats tearing around in Social Security and threatening to wreck it, we're lucky that Social Security is standing as well as it is right now.
You have been guiding us on what we all learned to be the corruption of the Supreme Court. And you've guided us in a way that no one else has been able to map it out for us over years now. You are seeing in these first months of the Trump presidency an expansion of corruption in Washington beyond dimensions anyone had ever imagined before. What do you see when you look out at all of that now?
Well, the point that I would leave you with tonight, Lawrence, is that the crypto corruption that you referred to not only is a means to enrich the most flagrantly corrupt president America has ever seen in personal corruption, but it's also a tool. It's a tool in the contest globally between rule of law and kleptocracy. And it's a tool that allows money laundering. It's a tool that supports bribery. It's a tool that encourages political corruption. It's a tool that allows the concealment of criminal proceeds. As a tool like that, it benefits the kleptocracy side of the battle. And the United States, until Trump, was always on the rule of law side of that battle. And it's immensely consequential that we win that battle. And here is Trump, over and over in his decisions, aiding the kleptocracy side of that battle, aiding our enemies, giving literal aid and comfort to our enemies. And enormous amounts of unregulated crypto floating around is a massively valuable tool to the forces of international criminality and kleptocracy.
Yeah, and on his crypto business and on this club that he's creating in Washington, it's literally you literally put the money in Donald Trump's pocket. There's no money going to a campaign entity here. It goes in his pocket, what used to be called bribes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court has spent years whittling away at the ability to prosecute anyone for bribery and corruption, except in the most obvious and obtuse, direct quid pro quo, this dollar for this vote type of transaction, which is not the way anybody with any subtlety in political corruption proceeds. And you add to it that they made him as president totally immune. He can commit all the crimes he wants right now. And so the license that the Supreme Court has given to bribery and corruption in the executive and judicial branches, and particularly in the Oval Office, is astonishing.
Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you. We'll be right back.